Peace and quiet now reigns in Rwanda, a country that was soaked in blood around this time exactly 17 years ago. In a 100-day period that began on April 7, 1994, about 1 million people were butchered.
In Rwanda, every part was affected.
There are about 50 genocide memorial sites dotting this tiny East African country, which now has a population of 8 million. Harama Memorial Site in the eastern part of the country was initially a Catholic church. Now, skulls are what visitors are exposed to upon entry. Coffins sit on its pews and its altar. Yet this is one of the sites where the number of deaths recorded is relatively small. 10,000 people were killed at another site called Nyamata within the same district. Each genocide memorial site displays a well-kept record of the atrocious history, but perhaps none paints the horror of the Rwandan genocide more clearly than one called Murambi in the southern province. The regime of the day had turned what was a technical school into a concentration camp. The Tutsi community from villages nearby had been duped into gathering here for protection.
They killed many Tutsis. We say over 50,000 were killed because till now we know only 11 survivors.
Juliet Mkabanda is one of the 11. Her identity card confirming she was a Hutu saved her life, and her newborn baby was barely a month old.
Barebamo baravuga kuko nta mututsi uri buvemo nubwo yaba yavutse uwo munsi. Buri ntege z'ururutse umwana, buze ntege z'ururutse umwana indangamuntu barayitwara.
Despite the horror she witnessed, Mkabanda now interacts with ease with a man who killed several people, including her own children and husband.
Saa 11 n'ebyiri kurasa byarahagaze. Dutangira kurwana, dutera amabuye, nabo badutera ndi, ndetse baranatuganza dusubira inyuma.
Some 848 genocide victims have their bodies preserved, expressions at their dying moments aptly captured.
Iyo ngeze muri biriya byumba nkareba imirambo y'abantu iryamyemo, bintera gahinda bigatuma nongera kwicuza. Nkareba ibibi twakoze, nkibuka ko bari abantu bari bafite uburenganzira bwo kubaho nkatwe, ariko tukaba twarabavukije.
Emmanuel Nyirimana was part of a group of armed militia called the Interahamwe, a group of predominantly Hutu men who had been brainwashed into thinking that the Tutsi community was the enemy.
Mu gihe twicaga abantu, ikintu cyitwa ubumuntu muri twe cyari cyaravuyemo.
Like thousands of perpetrators of the genocide, he was imprisoned. However, he confessed his crimes in a traditional court called Gacaca.
The government put up a sort of what we call restorative justice system, Gacaca. This Gacaca actually is a traditional way of settling disputes among the Rwandese. At the same time, the aim is to reconcile, not to punish only, but also to reconcile the society, and it has really helped this country.
That lessened his 8-year sentence and made it possible for him to return to a community where he committed crimes against humanity.
Hereye no kuri uyu mugabo nyine mboga ari mu bantu bari baratubujije amahoro hakurya batubuza kujya kuvoma amazi badutangirira mu mibande, ari no mu baje kutwicira abantu, uretse ko ntamenya ngo yishe uwanjye yishaka kuko bari benshi, ariko naramubabariye nawe.
This is a story replicated throughout Rwanda. In settlements known as reconciliation villages, perpetrators of the genocide and survivors live side by side. Ijiticho Muvumu is one such village. Catherine Nyirasenjimana lives here with her 3 children. They survived the genocide. For long, she struggled with the thought of forgiving her husband's killers.
Iyo umaze kubabarira wumva uruhutse kuko biguhesha amahoro mu bavandimwe, muri babaturanyi waruturanye nabo wakekeraga ubusa, kuko wa wundi yamaze kugusaba imbabazi wumva ko ari wagukoreye icyaha ukaruhuka mu mutima, kandi ntuwongere kumubonamo urwikekwe kuko uba wamaze kumubabarira kuko aba yagusabye imbabazi.
She is among 4 women who received state sponsorship after the genocide to acquire skills on solar system installation in India. Her expertise now benefits the whole village indiscriminately. She lights up Ronald Ruchagoza's house without regard for the role he played during the genocide. The 61-year-old was one of the militiamen who committed murder, among other crimes, during the genocide. He also confessed before a Gacaca court, which sentenced him to 8 years in prison, and thereafter came here to live with some of the survivors.
Naje mfite ubwoba bunini cyane ko kugira ngo duhure n'abantu twahemukiye. Kugira ngo mpure n'abantu nahemukiye numvise ari ibintu bikomeye cyane kugira ngo duhuze amaso tubonane.
Hundreds of other men and women are now walking the road Ruchagoza has trodden. After confessing their crimes, perpetrators are put on a program popular here as TIGE, a French synonym that translates to work for general interest. Building gabions for farmers, constructing houses for homeless genocide survivors, and village feeder roads for the government is part of what they do to atone for their crimes. Rwanda, the land of 1,000 hills, has made remarkable progress in national healing and reconciliation, such that instead of letting perpetrators of the genocide to rot in jail, those who ask for forgiveness, however serious their crimes, are rehabilitated and reintegrated into their communities. The lesson Kenya and Kenyans can draw from the Rwanda situation is that while you can use external or even local courts to try some of the suspects, ultimately it is the people themselves who hold the key to finding lasting peace and reconciliation. Sylvia Chebet, Citizen TV, Rwanda.